Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. It is a prom look. I visited my family in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I had the privilege of working on my sweet niece, Hallie. She is 16 years old, so we got to do a full face of prom makeup. So this is exactly how I do all of my prom and homecoming makeup, any special event makeup. These are the products I use, the techniques that I use. So not just for prom, but any special event, this is exactly what I do. So be sure to follow if you have prom or any special events coming up. This is how to achieve a long-lasting makeup look. So if you would like to see how we achieved this beautiful glam look on Hallie, be sure to keep on watching. I am starting off today's look with the Milk Hydro Boost Primer. This is a great product for any kind of dryness or if you need longevity for your look. I am putting that all over her face and dragging it down her neck. Now you can see we are outside here. I forgot my ring light when I traveled, so we are using natural sunlight. So of course, as the sun shifts, so does our lighting. So just bear with us. We really wanted to film this look, so we are using natural light. Okay, I am going to fill her brows with the e.l.f. brow pencil, and this is the shade Soft Brown. As you can see, obviously she's blonde, but we wanted to play up those brows for sure. I'm filling this in. She has an excellent natural brow, but I'm going to go ahead and link my brow tutorial in case you need a full breakdown of how to fill brows. She was kind of easy here. We're just filling in the sparse areas, and you can see with the pencil I'm really going in the direction of the growth of that hair. So I mean, it took no time to fill either one of her brows. Now she's the exception to the rule. Most people are pretty sparse, but she takes care of her brows, and of course you can see she also takes care of her face. So again, just go in the direction of the growth of the hair. So if you have a fuller brow like Hallie, then this should be no problem at all. And as always, we want to make sure we set the brows. So I'm going to use the Anastasia of Beverly Hills Brow Freeze. I'm so sorry. These products look awful because they have fingerprints all over them and are probably dirty from my bag. But guess what? Such is life, and all of the products are linked below. So I'm just taking a tiny bit of that, and I mean tiny bit of that, on the spoolie of the brow pencil, and I'm running that product in both directions. A lot of people only take the product in one direction, but you really want to get in there to make sure that that brow does not budge at all. So go left, right, and then to finish it off, take that product in the direction that you want those hairs to stay, which is the direction of the natural growth. And again, this brow freeze is clear, so you can see you can be a little bit messier with it than what you would if the product was tinted or colored. Now to prime the eyelid for shadow, I am going to use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Vanilla. If you've watched any of my other videos, I never use an eyeshadow primer because I just feel like you get more bang for your buck if you use a concealer. Unless you are really going in with a glitter that needs to be packed on the lid, a primer is just not necessary. A concealer works just as well. So I'm taking it on a concealer brush. Now you can use your fingers as well. And I'm running that product all over the lid from the lash line all the way up right under the brow. And really quick concealing a couple of blemishes on her chin. And then just making sure everything is buffed out nicely. So to start off with Hallie's shadow, I'm using the ColourPop Feel and Bubbly palette. I am going to be mixing two light shades, Bubble Up and Blank Slate, and just to give a transition shade for her crease. Now you'll notice I have her lean her face back a little bit, and that really creates a nice crease for you to put that shadow in. So if you have hooded eyes or anything like this, this is a great tip. So she's setting back and her eye socket is really prominent. So you take that product back and forth in windshield wiper motions, and you can see I start from the outside and work my way in. Now when you start off with a light color like this, it makes the product very buildable. So of course it's prom. We're going to want to go for a heavier look. So we are building. You start off light and then you just slowly add in color. Now remember, I say this in probably every video. It is makeup. It is okay. Mix shades, get the color that you like, and start building. So next up, I'm going in with these Scott Barnes palettes. I brought 3 of them with me. A dear friend bought these for me, and I absolutely love these. Now, this is the highlighting palette, and what I'll say about this is these are created for makeup artists. You can see there is a wide variety of shades for me to use on different skin types and skin tones. So it's not really practical for an everyday person who doesn't do makeup for a living. But I use these, so what I'll do is recommend a couple other products that are similar in the description box below. Now I'm kicking myself because I've cut off her eyes in this video when I was filming, and she is 1,000 miles away and we can't re-edit it. But to let you know, I am not being super precise. I'm mixing these shades, the pinks and champagnes, and packing them on her lid, which you'll see in just a second. My gosh, look, we actually have footage of me doing it correctly. So the exact same thing that I explained just a second ago when you couldn't see her eyes is exactly what I'm doing. I'm mixing a pink shimmer and a champagne shimmer together and putting that on her lid. So earlier I had mentioned that you want to start off with soft colors in the crease, and this is why we're going back in with that original ColourPop palette, and we're going to start building up that crease. So it's kind of foolproof. You're just taking a little bit of a darker shade, and if you see right there, it's kind of harsh, but I'm buffing it out and blending it out. Sorry, my hair is in the way, but again, we can't refilm any of this. So windshield wiper motions back and forth to build that up. So I use this product on almost everyone. This is the NYX Professional Eyeliner. It is in the shade brown, and I will take that and run it on her waterline at the top. You can see she's kind of jerking, but that's because it tickles. And then on the lower part of her bottom lash line, I run that. And you don't have to be super particular with a liner, because you can always take an angled brush and kind of buff that liner out. You can add shadow to it to build it up. Funny enough, Hallie is the one who got me started on the Sky High Maybelline mascara that I love so much, and you've seen featured in my favorites video. Hallie loves makeup just like I do, so it was so much fun glamming her. I'm sorry that you are getting footage of my arm and my back, but this is a great opportunity for me to just talk. You don't really need to see what I'm doing anyway, because when I apply lashes, you do not have to be super particular about the mascara. You want a good mascara that's not going to bleed, but really all you're doing here is just putting on a good coat just so you can have color on the lashes. I'm using the Ardell Naked Lashes on Hallie today. Hallie's natural lashes seriously look fake. They were actually longer than the false lashes. If you look right here, you can tell. But we are just putting it on to tie everything together. Now, when applying false lashes, you want a good glue. I always use the Duo glue. You put it on the strip, and then you want that strip of lashes to set for about 45 seconds to a minute and let it get tacky. And then if you're applying them to someone else, have them close their eyes and just set it as close to the lash line as you possibly can. This will make sure that they stay. So you can see how beautiful these look on her, and really it's just adding in an extra dimension. Next up, I am using the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter on Hallie. I'm using it on the high points of her cheek, down the bridge of her nose, just to add a little extra glow. So anywhere that the sun would naturally hit is where you want to apply this. Now I can use this on her because she takes great care of her skin, but where that product is, if she had a lot of natural texture, then we wouldn't want to put that there because it just emphasizes that. But because she takes care of her skin, this is a great product for her. So I'm just buffing it out, and it's going to give her a little extra coverage, but some sheen that will come through on the foundation that we apply in a minute. Again, I'm really sorry for all the footage of my back. We were making do with what we had and had palettes of makeup stacked to hold my phone up. But I'm using a flat top foundation brush to blend that out as well. And next up, I am going to use the Rare Beauty foundation in the shade 170W. This foundation is beautiful. I've mentioned it on several videos before. It gives such a nice coverage, but it's not full coverage so that you can't see her skin. But I'm going to take that foundation and swatch it on her face, just in the places that need the most coverage, and then I start blending from that point on. From here, I am going to use the same brush that I used to blend out the Flawless Filter. It is a flat top foundation brush, as you can see. It's the It Cosmetics. It came in a set, and I absolutely love it. Now, with foundation on everyone, I start from where I applied the foundation and start blending it out and up towards the temple. So our light is shifting on us, and we're moving the curtain to the patio area to get more sunlight in, and none of it's working. It also appears that we should have left the lighting the way that it was, but guys, I'm working on my editing. I'm trying my best. I will get there. Just be patient with me. But I'm just going in, buffing this out, and anywhere that I see needs a little bit more coverage with any uneven skin tones or breakouts, I go back in and cover it a little more and just keep blending and buffing that out. No harsh lines. Keep that in mind. Next up, to bronze Hallie up, I'm using the Rare Beauty Happy Soul bronzing stick. I absolutely love this. I tried this out on Hallie and fell in love. It is foolproof, if I do say so myself. There's a lot of products that I have said are foolproof, but this is one of them. It's so creamy and it's so easy to blend out. I give this product a total 10 out of 10. So I'm taking that under her cheekbone, around the hairline on her forehead, down the sides of the nose just for color, and then on her jawline as well. Now that I have that product on, I'm going to blend it out with the NYX Professional Makeup Fan Brush. This was created for contouring. Now, I can only find it at Macy's, and I'm pretty certain they created this brush line just for Macy's, but as always, the products are linked below. Now, you can see I'm taking that product and working it into the hairline and up towards the temple. So always, no matter the age, we always want to take that product in a lifting manner. So we're taking it and dragging it up, never down. It can get too muddy below that cheekbone and onto the jawline if you drag it down. So up and out always. Now, again, back to the lighting, it's not great, but you're going to see end pictures of Hallie, and just know that these techniques, it doesn't really matter what the lighting is. This is the exact technique I used, and then when you see her final look, just know that there was absolutely no editing. Now, it was taken in portrait mode on my iPhone, but that is absolutely it. So I always put the bronzer on the jawline for added color, and I like to drag that down the sides of the neck as well, just for added color. Someone said, Leslie, you can only give one tip for makeup. What would it be? And it would be to blend. Blend and buff. Blend and buff. If you do that, you really can't go wrong. So next up, for some added dimension, I'm going to go in with the NARS bronzer in the shade Laguna. Now this isn't necessary, but I had it and I wanted to add a little bit more warmth to her skin and kind of chisel out the cheekbones just for fun. So I'm taking it, and a little bit goes a long way. Like I said, it's not super necessary, but we had it there and I wanted some added color. So taking it around in the shape of a 3. And what I mean by that is around the hairline, under the cheekbone, and then down the jawline. And then I always do the nose for added color, not necessarily to contour the nose to change the shape, but you don't want to have all this bronzer on the perimeter of the face and under the cheekbones and then nothing on the nose at all. So since we contoured, it's now time to go in and highlight and conceal. So I'm using the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer again that I used on her lid. And then I'm going in with the Jouer concealer. I'm not quite sure on the shade of that, but I will link it below. So what I'll do is take the NARS on the more outside part that I want to conceal. So you see just on the side of the nose, dots up on the cheekbone, down the nose. And then you can see here, same thing. I'm moving a piece of hair, but like almost not quite on the cheekbone, but you can see where I'm concealing this. And then what happens is I go in with a lighter concealer, and that's going to really brighten that under eye. So when you go into bronze, like we did just before, and contour, you are adding shades of warmth and gray. So if you don't go back into conceal, which is also known as highlight, you're going to look really tired and gaunt, and it's going to be just not a good look. So I'm using concealer brushes. Now, what you can't see because of the way her face has moved, but you want to take that concealer also in that inner corner. You want to make sure you have coverage there. So I'm just taking and blending it out and up as always. Again, I say this a million times over. She could be a 16-year-old girl or she could be a 66-year-old woman. I highlight the same way. We lift. Everything's in a lifting direction. So up towards the temple and just buffing and blending. And guys, when I create these tutorials, I think it's important that I say I try to leave as much footage as possible. You know, I do edit out the junk and the bloopers and all of that, but I want you to see exactly what I do. So you can see I use my fingers a lot to buff out product. You don't want any creases, and sometimes your fingers are just as useful, if not more, than a brush. You can really get in the corners and stuff with them. So you can see I'm just buffing and making sure there's no harshness at all to her makeup. And my gosh, she's absolutely stunning. I've always thought Hallie was beautiful, but she is just so pretty. And I'm taking the shadow from the original palette and just adding a little extra color to tie everything in together. So you're always going to have to set that concealer, and I am using the Morphe setting powder in the shade Brightening Pink. I've said it a million times again, because I like to reach for my favorite products, but the Brightening Pink really does brighten. Don't be afraid to use it. So I'm just going in to set that concealer. It has to be set or it will bleed and budge. So I'm taking a fluffy brush and running that product exactly where I put the concealer and blended it out. Now with a special event makeup look, you really can't set too much. This is the trick to making sure your face doesn't budge. It's layering the product. So I primed, I did foundation, I did concealer, I did contour, and now I'm going in with powder products to make sure it's set. Okay, so this is a really good tip for elevating your makeup look. I'm taking an angled brush that can be used for brows or liner and taking the dark shades from that original ColourPop palette and running it along her bottom lash line. Now, I'm blending shades to get the perfect shade. Now, you can take this with an angled brush and then use another like fluffy powder brush to blend out the line. So you'll see here, I'm going back in with that highlighting palette and I'm taking those bronze shimmer shades to run that along that bottom lash line. Now the reason I'm reaching for this palette again is because this is what I packed mostly for convenience. So if you have any warm bronzer shade, an actual bronzer works just great, or a warm brown, you can take that and run that along. And then the shades that I used on her lid that are pink, I take and pop right below in the center of that lash line just for a little extra pop. I'm taking the original NYX liner and just lining that under eye for a little extra dimension. Remember, this is a prom look, so we're going super heavy. Lots and lots of photos. So makeup for any kind of photography has to be much heavier. To polish off that under eye, I'm going back in with the Maybelline Sky High Mascara to give those bottom lashes just a really quick coat, just to add some color and again, extra dimension. So here I'm going in with a highlighter. It's like a champagne color, and popping that on the inner corner and then right under the brow on her brow bone, and that just gives an added pop and glow. So the high points of her face are exactly where you want to add any highlighter. And when I say highlighter, I actually mean highlighter, not concealer. And then just popping a little bit more on the lid, again, extra dimension. As I had mentioned earlier, anything that is cream or liquid that goes on the face, it needs to be set. And especially for this look, because we need long wearing makeup, and that powder product will just reinforce the cream or the liquid that I've placed down. This is the Bobbi Brown bronzer. Aruba is the shade. I'll link it below. You can see this bronzer is well loved by me. This is probably my third pan. So I'm taking it around exactly where I put that Rare Beauty bronzer and then warming up the end of her nose and the perimeter of her face. So there are so many beautiful liquid and cream bronzers on the market right now, and this Charlotte Tilbury one is one of them. I've mentioned this several times. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Pink Gasm Blush. Now, a little bit goes a long way. Yes, that product is very small, but that will last forever. So just a couple little dabs, and I'll go in and blend that out with a brush. Now I'm using a fluffy brush, but you can see my hands kind of far down on those bristles to kind of make it more dense. Here lately, I've kind of switched it up to actually blend that brush or that blush out with a foundation brush. So it just blends out prettier. Any cream or liquid blush blends out prettier with a foundation brush. Gosh, if that's not a tongue twister, I don't know what is. Blush and brush, it's a lot. So again, for long wear makeup and to reinforce that liquid blush that we just applied, we want to go in with a powder blush. So I am with a very light hand, because these products are so pigmented, I am going to take that pink shade and just pop it on the apples of her cheek and then drag it up towards the high points of her cheekbone. Again, just some extra dimension. That is another key to a beautiful makeup look, is different dimensions to the face. Naturally, we carry different dimensions in our face, so that's exactly what we want to add back in. So to give her skin a little extra glow, I'm using the Laura Mercier Celestial Light powder. It has shimmer in it, and it is very finely milled, so it's beautiful on the skin. And I'm taking it on a fluffy brush and just applying it to the high points of her cheek, over her brow bone, and also down the bridge of the nose and chin. It's not necessarily to set anything, but just add an extra glow. Again, using this palette because I traveled with it, I'm going to use a pink and champagne colored highlight to highlight the high points of her face again. There are so many products out, and again, I'm going to link those below to use. Benefit Cookie being one of them is a great highlighter. So right on the high points of her cheek, over her cupid's bow on her lip, and then just adding a little more here and there. Again, different dimensions really makes a look complete. Guys, my voice is getting raspy from all these voiceovers. Okay, so to finish off her look, we are going to go with the lip. So I'm using a NYX lip liner. I'll link the shade below. I love these lip liners. And then the Charlotte Tilbury hyaluronic acid lip balm. The color is beautiful. It's Enchanting Kiss. And then just going to finish it off with a gloss from ColourPop as just a lip topper. So if you've ever been a client of mine, I never just use one lip product. I've always been this way. And I keep saying, I've probably said it half a dozen times in this video alone, but it's all about the dimensions. So I'm using this shade of the lip liner to kind of carve out her lip. Her lips are beautiful. They're full and lush, absolutely stunning. But I'm taking it, it's almost a contour shade. I don't want to say contour shade, but a nude, and lining the lip. And then what I'll do is take a color similar, but it doesn't have to be the same, and actually fill the lip. So you can see here I'm taking the liner a little higher up than just lining. As a matter of fact, you could fill your whole lip with a liner. This will also help that lip product to stay on longer. It's almost kind of like a primer for the lip, honestly. So I'm taking that, filling her lip, and then I'm going to go and put the Charlotte Tilbury on. So I cut out me putting her lipstick on because my back was towards the camera, but I'm just filling the lipstick. It's no big deal. You don't really have to see, but the color is beautiful. Enchanting Kiss. Again, I will link it below. And then to top it off, always do layers of lip. I'm going to use the ColourPop lip gloss to polish off the look. Now, I know this is a long video, but don't dip out on me quite yet. I want you to see, once we popped on some earrings and zhuzhed up the hair a little bit, her final look. I know there are a lot of steps to achieve this prom look, but it is doable. And the great thing is there are so many products on the market these days that it can be affordable, especially with somewhere like Ulta or Target. They have great products. So a good lash, a good lip, some blush, something on the eyelids can really polish off a look. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. As always, the products are listed in the description box below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.